Was that your Bleacher Report
Yeah, I
headshot?
had to get a headshot
Okay. You have a football card too, don't you?
somewhere. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had a set in the old studio.
Mm-hmm.
All right. 3, 2, 1. What a wild slate of afternoon games, including Arizona over the Washington football team, 30-15, the final score. Let's start with Washington before we get to the excitement of Arizona. But Dwayne Haskins goes 19-33, 223, one touchdown, no INTs, was sacked 4 times, harassed all day. Terry McLaurin, 7 for 125 and a touchdown late in this contest. Steven Sims with 3 for 53. Logan Thomas, 4 for 26. PPR leagues, that does matter. Antonio Gibson, 13 for 55 and 1 rushing touchdown. So not as much as we wanted because J.D. McKissick chips in for 8 for 53 on the ground, healthy 6.6 yards per carry. So there you go. Washington puts up as much of a fight as they can. And there's a couple of bright spots here. McLovin, Gibson, Sims still involved. Thomas with 9 targets, so still really involved there as well.
We see where Washington figures into the power rank now, not very high. And we learned a little more about Philadelphia earlier, just learning about the NFC East really. But as you said, Terry McLaurin still looking fantastic. It shows you what he can do in a ceiling game here. You see Antonio Gibson getting some work early, looking better than last week. Peyton Barber not there to mess up his value. Maybe J.D. McKissick there to mess up his values. McKissick's looking good, but Gibson did get the goal line carry, and that's what's important to us here. Was able to convert, so if you did go with him as a what the heck flex, it worked out for you. Haskins isn't going to really elevate guys like Steven Sims and Logan Thomas enough to make them great starts, both of them hanging on to at least roster ability. And, we'll see where Washington matches up against Cleveland and see how this offense can get going. I think this is definitely not the morose Washington offense we saw last year, but at the same time, they didn't have enough against an improved Arizona defense, an improved Arizona offense. And see, so now it's time to start asking if Arizona is the team that the NFC West teams, even with the Rams at 2-0, even with the 49ers winning resoundingly, even watching, we'll see what Seattle does tonight, maybe Arizona's the team to chase.
Yeah, it's a fun team to watch, that's for sure. And Kyler Murray, fun to watch. 26-38, 286 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 INT. Also, 2 rushing touchdowns, 8 for 67, and that 21-yarder is just whoop, whoop. You can hear Chris Berman, right, make those noises. Kyler Murray getting into the end zone. Kenyon Drake with 20 for 86 on the day on the ground. A couple of catches, 9 yards as well. Chase Edmonds not as involved. 3 for 4 on the ground, and then 3 for 9 as a receiver. DeAndre Hopkins, 8 for 68 and 1 touchdown. Andy Isabella, 2 for 67. Christian Kirk, 2 for 57. Larry Fitzgerald, 7 for 50 if you forgot to take him out of your lineup or something. Dan Arnold, a couple catches here as well. So Arizona, exciting, fun, easy win.
See, so this is reminiscent of Michael Vick in the sense that one of the best open field runners in the league is also a quarterback. And I know this applied to Lamar Jackson. It didn't quite apply to Kyler Murray last year, but now we see Kyler Murray. See, maybe this is the game slowing down for him a little bit in the sense that he knows what he can do on an NFL field, and he knows how he can make guys just look foolish trying to tackle him in the open field, how to get to those spaces, as we talked about earlier today. Not taking punishment when he's breaking the pocket as a runner, when he's scrambling. So he's got the best of both worlds here. And for fantasy, it's the best of both worlds because you're getting that production as a runner. 3 rushing touchdowns already, 3. And you're still getting some production as a passer, especially thanks to DeAndre Hopkins. Now, you saw Kenyon Drake reassert himself as the alpha back. It doesn't mean you should throw Chase Edmonds back, still league-winning upside if Drake goes down. It wasn't like Drake had a massive game because now Kyler Murray is going to become very inconvenient, ending these drives with runs that Kenyon Drake could be ending with runs. Still, you're going to look at Kenyon Drake as someone you're happy to have because he's the number 1 back for a successful team. And otherwise, Murray got 26-38 in this game, but as you alluded to, Larry Fitzgerald, okay, you got 12 cheap points in PPR leagues. Otherwise, there's nothing else here. Kirk and Isabella are both good deep threats. Fitzgerald can be a good possession receiver. Dan Arnold is just going to be sprinkled in called up Jordan Thomas from the practice squad, by the way. There's just not enough elsewhere. This passing game is going to support DeAndre Hopkins as a weekly value, and Kenyon Drake's value still not where you hoped it was, but at least you're happy that this team looks like it's one of the upper tier teams in the NFL. And see, it's not going to change. They face Detroit next week, Carolina after that, Jets after that. I don't want to bloom you. 5-0 is in sight, though, Arizona.
Now let's talk Baltimore and Texans, 33-16, the final score. Baltimore side before the droopy Texan side, but Lamar Jackson, 18 for 24 for 204, one touchdown, no INT, sacked 4 times, and then 16 for 54 as a rusher. So you thought there would be more in there in this game. It wasn't. Gus Edwards, 10 for 73 on the ground to lead the way. Mark Ingram, 9 for 55 and 1 touchdown, and then some karate kicks. It was like Joe Rogan trying to beat up that Texans sign back there, kicking at the sign in the back of the end zone. J.K. Dobbins, 2 for 48 on the ground. So many weapons. Marquise Brown, 5 for 42. Miles Boykins, 4 for 38. Mandrew, 1 for 29. Oh, the one touchdown, Patrick Ricard, in terms of receiving touchdown. So there you go. It was, big win, easy win, whatever's whatever. But you just thought there would be more there for these guys.
It was too easy. Another game where it was just too easy. It was just too easy for Baltimore to go in. See, this is 14 straight regular season wins for them, 7 straight on the road. Some of these games, it's been a while since they've trailed in the second half of a game, I think. This is just where Baltimore is in your regular season setting. So it was a very disappointing game for Lamar Jackson from a fantasy standpoint. Although it isn't nice. Patrick Ricard's one of the last two-way players in the league, right? Doesn't he get some snaps on defense too? Mm-hmm. So, we like seeing that. We like seeing him get some love. That's almost as good as the defensive lineman getting some love. But as you said, just not much there, spreading it around. And we can't downplay these things because these are the floor games. Because we said a potential upside for Lamar Jackson in this offense was, well, if they're challenged a little bit more this year, they won't have to just take the foot off the gas in the second half. Houston didn't challenge them. And Houston was a playoff team last year. Maybe we're reevaluating their playoff chances for this year. But you got a floor game for Mark Andrews that probably a Kelsey or a Kittle, a healthy Kittle, isn't going to give you just because of the nature of their roles and their offenses, the nature of their offenses. Likewise with the floor game for Marquise Brown. And then the backfield. And Greg Roman was trying to tell us something, right, Cease? When Greg Roman's like, well, week to week, it's going to be a new thing every week, right? So this week, J.K. Dobbins, the funny thing is J.K. Dobbins was still like an 8 or 9 point play because even though he touched the ball, 3 times or 4 times, he still turned a couple of those into big plays. You have Mark Ingram. He only bailed you out because he got a direct snap on a 4th down and short. He took to the house, like a 30-yard run. And then it's actually Gus Edwards getting the boa constrictor carries at the end of the game, and Gus Edwards is really good, so you can't say that's a bad idea. But this is going to be a moving target. We're looking at some of these backfields. The Rams backfield, another one, where these are going to remain moving targets with or without injuries. So that's something that's going to be frustrating for us. By the way, did I mention next week, Monday night, Kansas City coming, Baltimore. Whew.
Yeah, good stuff. Texans not as good. Deshaun Watson, 25 for 36, 275, 1 TD, 1 INT, was only sacked 4 times. I thought it might be twice that much.
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks, 5 for 95, Randall Cobb, 5 for 59, Jordan Aiken, 7 for 55, Darren Fells, 2 for 23, 1 touchdown, and then Will Fuller getting stretched out on the sidelines and didn't have anything, had a carry for 0 yards. David Johnson, 11 for 34, and that was it. Just couldn't get anything mustered for this team.
Cease, be honest. Do you think Bill O'Brien and Tim Kelly have a game plan? Do you think there's any actual plan?
Nope.
It doesn't look like it.
Well, here's the thing. Deshaun Watson was never their plan. Rick Smith forced that pick. Bill O'Brien wanted Tom Savage. This was never their plan. They're making it up as they're going along. And this is, you ever hear bad jazz? Like jazz is great, right? These are the guys.
It's what a lot of people hear when they hear Fish that aren't like me or the Grateful Dead.
This is bad jazz because they're kind of trying to make it up on the run.
Now, this week on Cecil and Sigmund's Bad Jazz. I love it. This is great. See, he's 15 years into the show. We're still breaking new ground. We're still in that
Bad Jazz
list. Every week there's a show where we just perform a cappella bad jazz. Yeah, there's just no game plan here. There's just no plan of attack that I see. Or if there is, it's very poor. So you're reluctant. By the way, guess who's up next week for Houston? The Steelers. So, I don't want Deshaun Watson in my lineup. David Johnson still looks pretty good. Where's the game plan to get him involved as a receiver? It's barely there. I don't know whose fault it is. It's Watson, it's the game plan, it's Johnson. I don't know. Will Fuller. The fantasy gods. Ho, ho, ho. You thought you had something when you had... And Will Fuller played like 2/3 of the snaps. It wasn't like, he was on the sidelines. He was in the game. Deshaun Watson was forcing the ball to him last week. I don't know what's going on this week. Brandon Cook's looking a little bit better, but watch, like next week, Fuller will be back to 9 for 110 against the Steelers, mostly in the fourth quarter, and Cooks will be quiet. Cobb gets some catches, okay, whatever. Akins, I guess if there's anything that we can count on here, Akins was more involved as he should have been against a tough secondary. 7 for 55 means that there's a PPR floor there for him, plus he's got some playmaking ability. Kiki Cutie had a fumble. That's another reason that this game was too easy. Kiki Cutie, that was the kind of day it was for any Team Bloom guys here, Kiki Cutie fumbles, and that defensive touchdown really allowed him to get out of hand. I don't know. This is a Houston team I'll be shocked and very unhappy if they're 0-3, if they're not 0-3 after next week. Jacksonville's a tougher out than it looked like. Tennessee still has the strengths that they had. Indy still has some strengths that they showed. Even with 7 playoff spots, I think the Texans should be in crisis mode, as for the second week in a row against one of the best teams in the AFC, they looked like one of the worst teams in the AFC.
All right. This one is a wrap with a AFC West battle that was incredibly fun. And it's Chiefs and Chargers 23-20 in overtime. Chiefs getting the win. Pat Mahomes, Patty Ice, 27-47, 302, 2 touchdowns, no INTs, touchdowns, 1 to Tyreek, 5 for 99 and a touch on Chris. Travis Kelce, 9 for 90 and a touch. Not much from anybody else's receiver, although Clyde Edwards-Helaire did get 6 catches for 32 yards, in addition to 10 carries for 38 yards. Mahomes with 54 yards rushing to lead the way. Darwin Thompson with some hard-fought yards on the ground, 4 for 21. But it was interesting. It was scary. If you're a Chiefs fan, you're a little nervous about this one. Well-played game, and at the end, Mahomes was just too much. And with his legs picking up those, I think each one of those carries went for a first down, or 4 of his 6 carries went for a first down, and they got the win.
Yeah, that's just not fair, right? That's just not fair. What's not fair here is the Chargers did a really good job again against Patrick Mahomes. Gus Bradley, this defensive line, did a really good job again without Derwin James. Did a really good job, and they had every chance to win a game with a rookie quarterback with no notice that he was starting. And Patrick Mahomes is just unfair. He's just unfair. If you give him any time at all, any chance at all, it's inevitable. Cecil reminds me of some of those great quarterbacks we've seen over the years, where as a fan, the usual becomes some sort of comeback, making these plays on 3rd and long or 4th down, finding a way to do it. So even though for Mahomes, he struggled for a lot of the game to move the ball consistently for this offense, he's still had a terrific fantasy game. And if he's going to start pulling it down, because he's athletic, if he's going to start pulling it down and not forcing things, then for fantasy, that's great. It was a floor game for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but he still looks good. Don't worry about him. There was one nice long catch he made where he looked like a wide receiver going up for the ball that was wiped off the board by a penalty. I'm not worried about that. Darrell Williams got hurt in this one, by the way. Darwin Thompson they had on a key 4th down to convert, not Edwards-Helaire. So maybe that last week planted a little seed, like, yeah, maybe Edwards-Helaire isn't our short yardage guy, at least whenever it's a crucial game situation. Sammy Watkins, another one. It's like the fantasy gods. You played Sammy Watkins? And I shouldn't be making light of a concussion. Pretty sure it was a concussion here. But he wasn't doing anything before that anyway. Tyreek Hill looking good. Travis Kelce, just looking fantastic as always. No erosion in his skills, as he is about the same age as Rob Gronkowski. Saw a little more McCole Hardman. Still not enough to consider starting him against those Baltimore corners. Did I mention Baltimore next week? This is again, you really feel for the Chargers, right? Because they the odds were well against them in this game, and they summoned up a winning effort. And much like in the Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes just said, "No, we're going to win this game."
Also, a key third down. It was 3rd and 8, and Melvin Ingram jumped off sides.
Yeah,
and that was an overtime, right?
I think so.
I believe so. Yeah. So I mean, 3rd and 8. Even for the Chiefs, that's always a down and distance that you worry about. And then it was 3rd and 3, and they picked it up. So I mean, just it's a game of inches, it's a game of angles, and it's a cruel game. Yeah. Certainly with the effort that the Chargers put up. You mentioned it, rookie quarterback and Justin Herbert. There's no need to go back to Tyrod Taylor at all whatsoever. You saw in this game, and such credit goes out to the Chargers, and of course Anthony Lynn. Right, and his leadership, but Shane Stetchen, I'm going to miss Steichen.
More bad jazz.
Yeah, exactly. Me trying to pronounce somebody's name, but their OC, because you saw comfort level from Justin Herbert that I wasn't expecting from that young man. I'm going to bitch about Pat Shurmur again, but you don't see that with Drew Lock, not here, because it's like, why aren't you running my full playbook? But they did stuff. They did simple stuff for Herbert. Didn't ask him to do too much. Put it in the hands of his playmakers. And they were creative with the way that they used their playmakers, including Joshua Kelly with a couple catches, 49 yards, a big 35-yarder there, and then 23 for 64 on the ground. So Justin Herbert himself goes 22 of 33, 311, 1 touchdown, 1 INT. The INT was like a total rookie throw.
Yeah.
Oh, God, rookie, what are you doing? But other than that, sound, confident, not overwhelmed. I mean, the guy was going toe-to-toe with Pat Mahomes. He had the lead for most of the game. Austin Eckler, 16 for 93 on the ground. Herbert with a rushing touchdown, if I didn't mention that. Eckler with 4 for 55, so more than one. But it was Herbert in. We're not going to check down to the running backs unless our rookie quarterback's in there. Hunter Henry, 6 for 83. Keenan Allen, 7 for 96. Mike Williams, only 2 for 14. But I really enjoyed what I saw. Really enjoyed what I saw there from Justin Herbert. And the Chargers, go with the kid now. You don't need to go to the veteran anymore.
Indeed. And we look back, Cease, at how poor the Texans offense played against the Chiefs in week 1. And again, we can say, well, the Texans Chiefs defense isn't exactly a tough defense. Justin Herbert did a great job against them. Well prepared. Cease, when I was watching Justin Herbert today, I thought he's well prepared. He doesn't look emotionally overwhelmed at all at the task that he was given. Maybe this is the best way, right, Cease? Maybe the Chargers are going to be pioneers. And next time a rookie quarterback's going to make his first start, you don't tell him until like 10 minutes before the game. Mm-hmm. And then you don't really have time to get jitters about it. You don't really have time now. You don't get to prepare with the first team leading up to the game during the week. But Herbert, what you saw was the things that made him the number 6 overall pick. Athleticism. Tremendous athleticism, arm talent. It's there. And as you said, on the interception, in a rookie way, he relied too much on his arm talent. He had an easy first down if he had kept running, threw back across his body. His receiver had beaten their guy, but the ball hung up for so long, throwing against your body downfield on the run, that it was an interception. L'Jarius Sneed, another rookie, by the way, with his second interception. You got to love that for the Chiefs. But Herbert, I mean, I didn't love him at Oregon. I thought he was the classic, the parts are greater than the sum when you watched his game.
Right.
But he looks like he's going to be able to make this a viable offense. So just as we were getting dug in with because they won in week 1, Tyrod Taylor's going to make this a very tough offense to watch. Now you have Keenan Allen, not so tough to watch. Hunter Henry, you're already happy with. Now you have Mike Williams on the other hand. He was matching up better with Tyrod Taylor's strengths. So that maybe becomes a little dicier. And then you like having Austin Eckler better because, as you said, they're going to check down to the running back more with the rookie. But still, so don't you just get the feeling in this game, Cease, that the Chargers was like, we're never going to give Eckler more than 20 touches in a game or 22 or whatever. Like once he gets around 20, like a pitcher, it's a baseball reference. Watch out, alert. Just because for Kelly to get that many carries, it wasn't like Kelly was that effective as a runner. But I think that they look at Eckler as a player that they want to preserve for December and January. And as it is, even 20 touches a game gets him over 300 touches, which is a pretty heavy workload for an NFL running back. So Eckler looks great. Eckler had a much better fantasy game this week than he did last week. So you have that going for you. But still, I think Kelly's your goal line back. And I think this is just how it's going to remain. And it is kind of a 50-50 committee, even though Eckler makes a lot more value out of his touches than Kelly is going to. But I think we can see this is a competitive Chargers team. Anthony Lynn is going to have them fighting to the end and maximizing what they do have, especially now that they have a quarterback. And I think you see this team next week against Carolina getting back on track. I mean, look, you take Kansas City to overtime. Again, Houston couldn't even hang on the same field with Kansas City. The Chargers take them to overtime. So I think the Chargers are a very interesting team, especially if we're talking about Justin Herbert in December saying he's not a rookie anymore. He didn't look like a rookie out there today. It was just bad luck, honestly, facing Mahomes. He didn't get his first win.
That is a wrap for the week 2 recap here on the Audible. Everyone, thank you very much for checking out footballguys.com. Thanks for signing up for our free daily newsletter, subscribing to footballguys.com if you'd like to. We certainly appreciate your business because we love and appreciate you guys. Your energy drives us. We love talking about football. We dig the fact that so many of you enjoy it. So do those YouTube things, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that, and chat room. React to me. Thanks for watching Facebook as well. He's Sigmund. Follow him on Twitter at Sigmund Bloom. Follow the show at The Audible. I'm at Cecil Lammey saying thanks. Stay tuned and stay frosty.